welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern. How you doing, Daniel?
That's right, Chris. You can see us on YouTube now.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do that in a while.
Yeah.
But here we are. It's
won't happen again for another 4 weeks.
That's right. But then you'll have plenty of that for the time being.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. It is obviously holiday weekend. Thanksgiving was 2 days ago, and we are in our homes in different states, hours away. And we still got a lot to talk about because this is probably the last show where we're going to have stuff to talk about. So everyone's just trying to get deals done as soon as they can.
Yep. If you are not aware, the collective bargaining agreement in Major League Baseball is coming to an end on December 1st, right? Yes.
I think it was the 1st or 2nd.
Yeah.
Either way, it's next week.
Very beginning of December. And yeah, so once that collective bargaining agreement is done, until they get a new one, there can be like no activity in the league at all. No manager hirings, no free agent signings, which is not the best. Not the best for if you're trying to do a weekly podcast. But we have that going against us. But and from the sounds of it, a collective bargaining agreement is probably not going to be happening that soon. But
we're probably getting a lockout.
But luckily for this week, we have plenty of news to talk about. I guess, yeah, we'll start out with something that happened on Tuesday, I believe. The Rays, we know that they have a very low payroll, and they did not fester to that narrative as they signed Wander Franco to a 12-year, $223 million extension, where he's going to be on the team. Well, maybe not an extension, but a contract where he's going to be on the team till he's like 32. And just pretty wild to see, he's getting it. Like, this is probably the most money given to someone, under 21, maybe.
It probably is. It's the most money the Rays have ever given to a player.
Yep.
And as Fox Sports pointed out in that graphic, it's the same as the Rays payroll over the last 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun fact, but visually
horrible execution.
Yeah, exactly. Fun fact, but you got to put it in a different graphic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Someone photoshopped like the Devil Rays logo in next to it. So it looked like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see that now.
Yeah.
I have to explain. But yeah, $223 million. What were your initial thoughts when this went down?
I mean, I have like a very conflicted takes because a lot of people are upset about this deal because Wander Franco very clearly could have gotten more. And I think we all know that. I don't think that's not a surprise. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. But this happens every now and then where a player will take an extension in pre-arb. And like everyone cites Ronald Acuna when he signed an 8-year, $100 million contract, which is borderline criminal. But it's like he signed the deal, like he agreed to it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I
don't think it's like news to Wander. I don't think it's like not known to Wander Franco that he probably could have gotten more if he waited a little bit. But like, stuff can happen. Like what happened? Like what if he gets like some, like we saw Acuna like tear his ACL on a freak play this year? Like, what if Franco does that this year and he's never the same again? Like, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, exactly. Um, it is weird. It is weird when guys sign deals while they're in pre-arbitration because, for those unaware, especially under the current CBA, although it is funny, something we can get into later is, the Rays could have been playing a little 4D chess, getting a, good team contract while the current CBA was in place because
And while the team is currently still exclusively in Tampa Bay.
yeah, exactly. But under the current CBA, a player has to reach 172 days of service time to reach a full year of service time, and they need 6 full years of service time to get into free agency. And the first 3 years of their service time, they get like league minimum basically, and then you get the arbitration, which is based pretty much entirely on player performance. And yeah, so with Wander Franco getting $223 million over 12 years, signing that contract, that eliminates that whole process and eliminates the 3 years where he's getting league minimum. So the Rays definitely factored in like, so you're probably going to get less money or less average annual value than you deserve because we're foregoing paying league minimum to you for 3 years. So we're going to factor that in. That's just a thing that happens in every one of these contracts because Acuna signed his after 2018, right?
He did, yeah.
And he never got a full year of service time before that contract. So I mean, that's the thing where like, you can't compare Mike Trout getting $420 whatever million to either of those contracts because Mike Trout wasn't going to be due like only $550,000 for 3 years. It's just not how it was. So if you want to see it as, average annual value wise, I see this as like a 9-year, $220 million deal because the Rays weren't going to pay anything anyway. So it's like, it's more, instead of him getting less than $20 million a year, it's more like he's getting $25 million a year after like the first 3 years, but they're evening it out. It's confusing.
Exactly. It is very weird, and it's certainly you did mention, it is definitely the Rays taking advantage of this system while they still have it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, do the Rays have that 9th year option, or is it a player option? Because it was an 8-year, $185 million deal with that 9th year option.
For
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Let me go to Fangraphs.
Yeah,
because I know what was guaranteed was 185, or maybe it was 185. No.
Yeah, I think it was
185 with a 12th year option. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah. Let me look at the.
That means the player option is, or the option is $38 million. If my math is correct. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what $38 million is going to be like when it's 2030 whatever, 2033. God, I gotta go on Spot Track for this.
Yeah. Look at these average annual values. Yeah, like 2022, they're giving him 2 mil, then 3 mil, then 4 mil, then 8 mil, then 12 mil, then 20 mil, then 26 mil in 2028. I mean, it feels like he's not gonna start getting what he's worth until 2027. Like in 2026, he's gonna be 25 years old, making 12 mil a year.
Yeah, that's all to factor in.
Okay, it's a 2033 club option also.
Yeah, I believe the Angels did something similar with Mike Trout's first contract. Because I remember like talking to somebody like, oh, Mike Trout isn't even getting paid what he's worth, and he was like, no, he's getting paid like $35 million this year, but the average annual value on the contract was like a little north of 20. So I'm gonna
Mm.
look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout's contract situation, go to salaries. Yeah, these these contracts signed like at the beginning of pre-arbitration are always
Yeah.
the most confusing things and so hard to explain. So yeah, Mike Trout got paid, or I should see when he signed the contract.
Wasn't it? I believe it was after 2013.
Okay, so signed after 2013.
Yeah.
So we got 1 million in 2014, 6 million in 2015, 16 million in 2016, 20 million in 2017, 34 million in 2018. That was the
That was
first
when he
time.
signed the new one.
No. He signed the first, or
It was
he
before
signed-
2019. You're right. It was
Yeah,
before 2019.
he got 34 million in eventually, and then he had 2 more years left on that deal. So he was probably going to get, mid 30s average annual value. So they're basically like simulating arbitration with Wander
Yeah.
Franco.
They're backloading it.
And then, they already have his extra.
And they're like slightly upping the pre-arb.
Yeah, right. Just evening. That's a hard word.
Evening.
Evening it out.
Like good evening.
Evening it out. That and if you want to say you edited something, I edited it.
Yeah, well, you're just saying the word edit twice.
edit. No.
Yeah, but in the spelling, you're saying it twice.
Edited it. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a tough.
Edit, ed for the ending of edit, and then it for it.
Edit it. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The more you know.
Right. That's true.
Mhm.
But yeah, Wander Franco, $223 million, and the Rays being smart here. As we know, collective bargaining agreement is close to an end. I think one of the points of emphasis from the Players Association might be having less service time required for going into free agency, and kind of fixing up arbitration and maybe getting guys more money in arbitration.
Yeah.
So the Rays kind of hit a buzzer beater here.
What was that thing that like it was reported on MLB Trade Rumors that like the league was trying to suggest? It was like when you hit a certain age, just automatically. I think it was like age 29 or something like that.
29.
Yeah.
Juan
Jesus
Soto
Christ.
is going to have to wait 10 years.
10 years before he's a free agent. Poor guy.
Meanwhile,
What is
Aaron
he
Judge
set
would
to
be
make?
like,
He's definitely an ARB right now, isn't he? Yeah, he's entering.
Yeah,
Oh, he's entering ARB 3.
I think he's a Super 2.
He's entering ARB 2, I should say. Yeah, he is a Super 2.
Because 2018 wasn't a year of service time, so he just had his 3rd year of service time, so he's going into his 4th year.
Yep.
So if it's ARB 2, then yeah, he's a Super 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Rays probably kind of jumped the system a little bit, right?
Oh, they absolutely did. But yeah, they're getting it in while they can.
Exactly.
Wander Franco is probably gonna have to buy 2 residencies, one in Tampa Bay, one in Montreal.
Yeah. I remember when that thing got proposed like 2 years ago.
I was like, "There's no way." And they're
Like,
doing
that's-
it. They're probably doing it.
Yeah. And for those unaware, there was a proposal a couple years ago to have the Rays play their like April, May, September in Tampa Bay, and then the summer months in Montreal.
Insane, and they're actually probably going to do it.
Like that is
Stuart Sternberg seems pretty set on it.
that's something. The
Yeah.
Tampa, Montreal, like to Montreal Rexpos.
Expose.
I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense, man.
Yeah, it's quite odd, but yeah, as you mentioned, potential real estate buyer in Montreal is Wander Franco.
Right.
That's gonna be like they'll definitely have to wait till further down the line, considering like what the situation is with like going to Canada now, like with
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, it's gonna be very funny, or it's gonna be interesting, like when a team goes to Toronto for like a 3-game series and it's just like so and so, this important player was left off the roster
yeah.
and he will rejoin the team in the next series.
It's like, yeah, he's taking yeah, he's gonna be out for 3 games with with
The shoulder fatigue.
definitely his arm feels completely fine.
Fine. Yeah. You know why? Because he didn't get a needle in there.
Yeah. um that will be a funny
Like you
thing.
can't, if you play in the American League, there's no way to hide it unless you're actually hurt like during the time.
It is funny because like in free agency, if you're unvaccinated, your value goes significantly down for AL East teams.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're gonna
Like,
miss
well,
9 games. Are you serious?
well, that's like what people are saying with Aaron Judge because like he got, well, I don't know if you remember, but he got COVID in July of last year, and a reporter asked if he was vaccinated, and he refused to answer. Which,
Yeah,
like, that obviously doesn't tell us everything. Like, he could have just not said it, but it feels like it's implied, and it's like, is the Yankees' best player going to miss 9 games against one of the best opponents in their division next year?
yeah. It's
It's a legit question.
that's 2022 baseball.
Yep, where we're at.
Yeah. Um, pretty wild. But Wander Franco gets $223 million. Good for the Rays sticking out the pocket because one of the things I was saying was like, well, it's gonna be a tough 5 years with him, but I'm excited for him to get traded on his like last year of control. But no, not happening. He's staying with
Yeah.
the Rays for a very long time until unless they do trade him during that contract, which I don't think they'll do. But he was the number one prospect for 2 years, like 2 full years, which never happens.
He doesn't have an opt-out, does he? No, it
Um,
doesn't look like he does.
no,
How did they pull that off? Wow.
you get a guy you get a guy out of the Dominican Republic when he's 20 years old,
Yeah.
um, and yes, offer him $223 million. It's like, yeah, well, that sounds pretty good.
Mhm.
Sounds pretty good to me. Yeah. So that's the franchise declared.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if the Rays have ever had a player for 12 years. Like Evan Longoria, no, not
No, they
Longoria.
absolutely have not.
So if it's not Longoria,
I don't even know if they've had a player for 10 years.
that's a good question.
Okay, never mind. Longoria was exactly 10 years, but probably not 10 years of service time.
I think he started the year there, but
He did start the year there in 08. We went over that.
but like, yeah, Longoria didn't reach 12 years. Price was only around for 7 or 8 years, or no, not even. Yeah, 7 years about.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the Rays are they're not changing. It's just this player is specifically special.
Yep.
Like, guy who's able to get about 3.5 WAR in less than half a season in his age 20 season. Pretty incredible. And we kind of saw that. We saw glimpses of greatness in the playoffs as well in their short time there.
My God, we watched him hit a home run. I was in awe.
It's like, this guy, he's just going to be around.
Yep.
It's not going to be good. Great defense also. All right. So congratulations to Wander Franco getting his money while he can, while Major League Baseball still exists. Now, all right. So we don't have to go chronologically because there were.
Let's just talk about the Mets deals.
Yeah, the Mets got their deals in. I guess Steve Cohen, maybe not making the biggest splashes, but a decent splash, and then a couple like good, just quality pickups.
Mhm.
I guess you start off with Starling Marte, 4 years, $78 million. Solid center fielder. Had a very interesting year.
He
Do
did.
you want to talk about this deal?
Yeah, so it's 4 years, $78 million. That would be $19.5 million a year. It goes until he's 36, and he's a center fielder. So, I mean, who knows what that looks like by the end? Maybe he's in left, maybe he's DHing. Um, I don't know. To me, it feels very hard to believe he's going to be in center field for the entirety of that contract. But, um, he's a guy that's going to make your team better. I think he's definitely a good fit for the Mets. He's kind of a spray hitter. He definitely can hit for power, but he's more of a doubles guy, I think. He obviously can steal bases. He was very good. He was in the 82nd percentile of outs above average, which is good.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, it's this guy was coming off of probably a career year. He had his highest career OPS plus last season.
Yeah, and he had a career, or he tied a career high in stolen bases in a time where stolen bases were at its lowest, lowest in a very long time. It seemed, at least. I don't have the statistical analysis for it, but just a good pickup. He kind of stepped his game up for his contract year, but I mean, a very good year overall last year. He had 310, he had a 383 on base percentage. So it's not even something where like he relied on his power. He just got better overall, and was able to wreak havoc on the bases. I see he had a 4.7 B WAR, and I'm wondering what his F WAR was last year. Marte Fangraphs, because that would be interesting.
He has a 116 career OPS plus in 4,700 plate appearances. This is a guy who's been very good for a long time.
Yeah, he's been quality, and 5.5 F WAR in 120 games last year. It's a thing of like, he had a career year last year, and it's like, is he going to be able to repeat this? Something about him being with the Mets just tells me like, man, I don't know how well it's going to go, but you can't think like that. It's just, it's kind of stupid, but it's just like, I don't really know what to expect from this deal.
Yeah, I don't either. I think the Mets kind of have a log jam in their offense now. Like when you look at their outfield, it's Starling Marte. Obviously Mark Canha also just signed. You have Brandon Nimmo. You have Jeff McNeil, who can kind of play everywhere. Same with JD Davis. They have a log jam on offense now, and they obviously just signed 3 position players. It's funny. They hired Billy Epler, and he immediately goes wild on position players.
Yeah.
Gotta love those narratives.
Yeah. No, in terms of pitching, just
I think they're still going for Gosman though.
Just a left-handed reliever. Yeah, I would assume he's still looking at
or Ray, one of those two.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing because you don't know what to expect here. A guy's coming off a career year in his age 32 season. It's hard to know what to expect. It is funny looking at his baseball reference page because he played 61 games in 2020 because he got traded in the middle, and he got traded to the Marlins when they had to make up all those games. So he ended up playing more than 60 games, even though no teams played 60 games or more than 60 games.
That's funny.
Yeah. Isn't that so 2020?
I
mean,
can't believe Robinson Cano only has 2 years left on that deal.
yeah,
That
well,
makes me feel old.
yeah, yeah. I remember watching them talk about it on Intentional Talk and Clubhouse Confidential.
Mhm.
Yeah, I watched a lot of MLB Network in that off season when he signed. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. But what I can't, the point I was trying to make earlier, but I didn't have it in my head until
Yeah.
now. Definitely earned the money based on his last year.
Yeah, you did.
It's just I don't know how it's gonna if it's going to be executed well or not. But he definitely earned the money based on having an 841 OPS and 47 stolen bases along with very good defense. That's gonna earn you $19.5 million a year. So I think it's not a mistake that the Mets are signing him whatsoever.
No.
It's
One guy who I think is going to be very good in that contract is Mark Canha.
yeah. What was the details on his contract?
2 years, 26.5 mil. That's a steal.
Yeah, I remember he was like at the All-Star break, like one of the leaders in
On base
outfield
percentage.
wins above replacement.
Hmm. Yeah, he's been very underrated. He led the league in hit by pitches last year with 27. He is it's very weird. I don't know like what kind of skill set you can have to achieve this, but he is double digit hit by pitches in each of the last 4 seasons, including 2020.
There is something to it's like I don't know, you just kind of stand in there, but some guys have it like
Yeah,
like
it's very weird.
Tim LaCastro,
Castro,
um, but like
Brandon Geyer,
Brandon Geyer, Jonathan India this year had like 23,
Austin
and
Adams, yeah.
he ended up and Jonathan, yeah, Jonathan India, um, Jonathan India had like a 376 on base percentage, and a lot of that had to do with his ability to get hit. And Ty France, same thing. Like
Hmm.
just had like 25 25 like hit by pitches. I'm trying to look last thing on Starling Marte. He was third in all of Major League Baseball in outfielder FWAR last year. Only
Really
Bryce
good.
Harper and Juan Soto were ahead of him. So that's what you need to know about Starling Marte. But Mark Canha, yeah, he's been an interesting guy. He's just one of those A's where he just goes under the radar.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, he has a good ability to get on base. I'm trying to look deeper into Mark Canha, but what else? Like, he's someone you can stick on, either corner of the outfield. Not a bad defender, also, and someone who can just be. He's a guy where I feel like the quality of production, like that's not going to go down. I would think.
No. Like he is there's very good reason to believe that what he's doing is somewhat sustainable, maybe not to that exact level, but it's to where you believe he could still be producing by age 36.
Yeah, and the hit by pitches kind of go with that.
Mhm.
But just looking at his on base percentage, that's something that's probably going to stay consistent. 2019 had a 396 on base percentage.
Mhm.
2020 was 387, and last year was 358. That's
And it was like I think it went down in the second half. Like in the All-Star break, it was like nearing 400.
yeah, probably.
He got hurt. And he was at 375 on June 24th before he went down with an injury. But it reached 386 on August 8th.
Yeah, that yeah, he was on the correct trend.
Hmm.
Sure. And but yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a steal also.
Okay, fair
Um
enough.
yeah, like
I think it has potential to be a steal.
potential. I yeah, I'd say there's potential as well. Man, my computer is being very slow right
Oh
now.
no.
This is annoying. You know what? You know when you type in something on Savant and the first three letters will go in, and then you type out the rest,
And then
and
yeah,
first three letters.
hate that. Oh, not only that, but like then you'll type it in and it'll show like 3 other people with like the same name, and it's like the guy you want is not even close.
Yeah,
Like on the list of the trending players list, it's like a guy who played like 4 games like in World War II when they needed replacement players.
yeah, exactly. Um, I guess his fielding is decent. He had 2 outs above average last year. His Fangraphs defensive metrics were not great, but Statcast is good for outfielders, I think. But yeah, I guess he's got decent defense. He can get on base. And yeah, it should that's not something to brush over
Yeah.
with the Mets. But it is interesting to see like how they're going to go about things lineup wise. They just signed 2 outfielders. I mean, I guess Conforto is, not going to be a thing for them.
I feel like this is kind of it for the Mets as far as what they're gonna do on offense. Like Pete Alonso is their big bat. He's got a nice supporting cast around him, and I mean this offense, like if healthy, which with the Mets you really have to emphasize that if healthy, they have potential to do a lot in a division where I don't think there's really a clear-cut favorite.
Yeah, especially at the beginning of the year, like on paper, and you don't know what's going to happen with Freddie Freeman and the Braves, or nothing's a guarantee. So, yeah, it's kind of in question. And the Mets, people forget the Mets were leading the division for most of the year, and then it changed kind of quickly because of that terrible August they had. And the last deal to get into with the Mets was they signed Eduardo Escobar, who he's decent bat. I don't know exactly what his fielding is, and I won't know soon probably because of the speed of my computer.
Luckily, he's the #1 trending player, so I can just click on his page without having to type anything in. His defense was not great. He's 22nd percentile and outs above average. But he also like plays many positions, so it could kind of just be like a thing where because of that it like hurts a little because he's better at certain places and he's not as good at certain places.
Right.
Yeah.
There might be an interesting stat I could pull out because in 2019 and 2020 he had 25 plus doubles and 25 plus home runs, and I want to see how many people have multiple seasons of 25 in both since 2019, which basically means both 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, because no one had 25 doubles and 25 homers in 2020.
Yeah, no. But I mean, it's still kind of overrated to look at that because his on-base percentage is not great. Yeah, 320 on base, 314 on base in 2019 and 2020.
Very good slugging though. 5'11", 472. OPS plus right around 110.
Oh wow, there were a lot more people to do that than I expected. There were 19.
I hate when you do that. It's like, oh, that's a good stat. Oh, there's 19 other people.
Yeah, literally, like Jorge Soler did it. Who are some guys that like aren't amazing that did it?
You could be cheap and add in 5+ triples.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid that, but I'm already here.
I mean, listen, Citi Field has pretty big gaps. Like, I mean, granted, he was in Arizona.
Actually, I mean, it's not the worst list in the world. You got Soler, Simeon, Olson, Austin Meadows, JD Martinez, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Paul Goldschmidt, Freddie Freeman, Eduardo Escobar, Josh Donaldson, Rafael Devers, Nick Castellanos, Chris Bryant, Nolan Arenado, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, Pete Alonso, and Jose Abreu. So I mean, it's not nobody's, but
if you wanna like simplify it a little more, you could do people with like 50 or 60 extra base hits.
I feel like that would make the list longer. Oh wow. So Eduardo Rodriguez
That's probably
no,
fair.
Eduardo Escobar, never mind, not Rodriguez. Eduardo Escobar is the only player to have multiple seasons of 25 plus home runs, 25 plus doubles, and 5 plus triples since 2019. So there you go.
So he's basically the best offensive player in baseball.
I mean, he is in a league of his own.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's very dynamic. Uh, he can get you any type of hit. If you
yeah,
need one of those 5 triples in 146 games, he's got you.
yeah, you could say that. But yeah, I mean, he's basically like he's basically like Salvador Perez um if he swapped some of his home runs for doubles and triples because he's just got like since 2019 he has a 311 on base percentage, which is below league average. But
It's also yeah.
he's got the home runs and the doubles and the extra base hits.
One thing I saw yesterday that made me laugh was when the Escobar news came out. Someone was like, "Well, Escobar was an all-star last year," and then you think about the fact that he played on like the 20-win Diamondbacks at the break.
That is a funny thing to say.
It's like you're not wrong, but you're wrong.
Exactly. But yeah, he got what, $20 million?
Yes, 2 years, 20 mil.
2 years, $20 million. So
Yeah.
it's not
With the 2024 club option.
not necessarily an underpay. If people might look at the home runs and the doubles and be like, oh wow, they got a steal here. But he gets on base at a pretty average rate.
I mean, it's definitely not bad when you consider the other bats around him. Like he was one of the better hitters in his lineup in Arizona, and honestly, probably in Milwaukee too. Like that doesn't look as great, but you're going to New York. Like he doesn't have to play as big of a role. He's got plenty of other guys around him, and if he can just keep doing what he's doing, like I really don't see any problem with this deal at all.
Yeah, no. If he like he's just being asked to be a $10 million a year player, and
Yeah.
that's like he has his average his OPS plus over since 2019 is 103, and that's a $10 million a year player.
It's reasonable, yeah.
Yeah. Especially like
Yeah, like $10 million really doesn't mean that much, as crazy as it sounds.
yeah, especially with Steve Cohen. I mean, last year he signed a guy for what, $34 million a year with Lindor.
4.1.
Yeah. So it's not the biggest deal with Eduardo Escobar. God, I've been saying Eduardo. I've been talking about Eduardo Rodriguez.
You've been talking about him so much over the last few months.
I gotta shut up about him. I gotta just let him exist in Detroit. But yeah, those were the Mets deals. They improved their offense a little bit. Got a guy who's going to make some noise on the bases as well, and yeah, so now they'll probably be on the hunt for some pitching as well.
Absolutely.
All right, what was next on the docket? Who else signed?
Who else did sign? Steven Matz.
Steven Matz.
Yeah.
I didn't look into the controversy of the thing.
It was it's so wild how all that happened from the Steven Matz signing.
I didn't look into it. I've been like kind of off the grid like since coming home, but
yeah,
like I just
saw a lot
saw
of wild stuff happened.
Yeah, I just saw like Steve Cohen say like this is super unprofessional or something like that.
Yeah, well, apparently he like had a deal in place with Matz, and then he signed with the Cardinals, obviously.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's very funny how Steven Matz was the guy who caused all that.
Steven Matz, this guy.
Like he becomes the second best pitcher on his current team's staff. He would have been like the third or fourth best pitcher on the Mets.
Right. Also probably one of the youngest pitchers on his staff.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, Flaherty's definitely younger, but
yeah, Flaherty's younger, and But I mean, I guess Lester's not going to be there next year, and neither is
Hap or
Hap.
LeBlanc.
or LeBlanc. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we were talking about how like going to St. Louis is kind of a pitcher's dream
Mhm.
for the time being, you know,
This is a
especially
4-year deal.
yeah, 4-year deal worth $44 million. He's getting $11 million a year. And yeah, we've talked about a little bit how it's kind of a pitcher's dream to go to St. Louis because of, you know, you don't even have to go into the advanced metrics to
Mhm.
see to look at how good their defense is. They won 5 Gold Gloves,
Yep.
and not really Mickey Mouse Gold Gloves necessarily. Although you could say, you know, maybe Arenado was the second or third best third base defender, but still one
He's
of
the
the
one who
best.
won a platinum glove.
Yeah, won a plat. That was stupid. But nonetheless, he's still a very good third baseman. And then, you know, Goldschmidt, did Edmund win one?
Yes.
And Bader won one, and did Yachty?
No, Yachty did not win one.
Oh wow,
Was it O'Neill maybe?
yeah, I think it was O'Neill.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have a great defense to go to there, and Steven Matz is someone who, outside of 2020, has never had more than a strikeout per inning, which is also, you know, 9 strikeouts per 9. So he's more of a pitch to contact type guy. So I think this is a good spot to go for him to you know, have him succeed.
Mhm.
And I think these are also the types of pitchers that that the Cardinals needed to be looking at, because it's like, maybe with this defense, you don't necessarily need the guy that's going to strike out 11 guys per 9. You just need someone who's, you know, not going to give up crazy hard contact.
Yeah, I mean, really, all you can ask for is for a guy to not walk people, and Steven Matz is in the 76th percentile in walk rate. Because you know that defense will do everything they can behind you. You don't, yeah, like you just mentioned, you don't have to be striking people out. He's striking out almost a guy per inning, which is so funny that gets you in the 39th percentile nowadays.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like I'm very interested to see like the some of the changes in expected statistics for Mats and just regular statistics. After seeing him go to the Cardinals, because that's a team that's going to help him out a lot for sure.
Right. Yeah. And his career BABIP against is 308, which is slightly above average.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that's probably going to change. I think I wonder what St. Louis's team BABIP against was last year, but it had to be like probably like pretty
Find that
low,
out.
280, 275 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably one of the lower ones in baseball.
Yeah.
It was 272,
Wow.
which was
Yeah.
the second lowest. The Dodgers were 260.
Yeah, to do that as a team is pretty wild. And I feel like a lot with the Dodgers, a lot of that had to do with shifting. I think I have a feeling the Cardinals won.
The Cardinals pitching staff had the lowest Ks per 9 in the majors last year.
Yeah, and they did okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it helps when you have that defense behind you and you're not giving up home runs.
Yeah, exactly the point there. So yeah, Steven Matz, that's kind of the pitcher that the Cardinals are going to sign, is, you know, that type, and a guy who is, you know, he's in his early 30s. He's not necessarily old. He's on a 4-year deal, and they're not going to be paying him that much. Well, like, you know, relatively speaking.
Yeah, he has a 48.8 career ground ball rate, which is going to be, you know, you're going to need to continue that going forward.
Yeah, that is above average, and it's going to help having Arenado, DeYoung, Edman, and Goldschmidt behind you.
Absolutely.
So kind of works out for both parties. The Cardinals aren't paying a crazy lot to get him, and you know, I could see Matt's being a guy where, like, oh, you know, we're consistently looking at 150 plus innings, mid 3s ERA. with the Cardinals. Maybe not other teams, but with the Cardinals, you could see that happening.
Absolutely.
Anything more on the Steven Matz deal?
I think we kind of covered it all. I mean, this is a very good signing for St. Louis. I feel like this is kind of just the general reaction anytime St. Louis gets a pitcher, especially after this offseason. But I really like this signing in particular. Like I mentioned, Steven Matz has a very low walk rate. His ground ball rates have been pretty excellent through the years. This is going to be a very good fit. And I'm excited to see, I feel like we're going to see his true potential because he was a how about that of yours late last season. So, he's also just a very good pitcher all around. We're acting like, the Cardinals defense is going to make him good. He is good. Cardinals defense is going to make him better.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 3.79 FIP last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had a better FIP than his ERA. So yeah, I mean, he 3.35 strikeout to walk ratio. That's a good pitcher. You can't at least last year. I think he had some rough patches, but last year he was able to get his ERA plus above 100, and I think he's kind of turning the tides in his career. But and yeah, the Cardinals also potentially might be getting the best of his career with him being in his early 30s. That's kind of when pitchers thrive. Maybe not position players, but that's when pitchers are kind of thriving. Was there another deal before the Frazier trade?
The Giants re-signed DeSclafani and Wood.
Yeah.
It was funny because Passan tweeted out the Giants are going to sign some starting pitching in the next couple days. And then literally within the hour, they signed both of those guys.
Yeah, they did, and they got some good deals there.
They did.
DeSclafani was a guy who he definitely outperformed expectations.
DeSclafani was signed to a 3-year, $36 million deal. That's $12 million a year. And then Alex Wood.
I think it was 2 years, 11 or 12 million.
Yeah, it's not listed here, which is weird. Did they not announce it yet? It's not. He's not listed under players with guaranteed salaries. That is just very odd.
Yeah, DeSclafani had a 3.17 ERA and 167 and 2/3 innings pitched. And I should see where that ranked in the National League, because I mean, there weren't a crazy amount of qualified pitchers, and it's a pretty low ERA. And yeah, he was someone who, I mean, it was one of the reasons the Giants were able to be in first place last year.
Huge. Yeah. I mean, that whole pitching staff, you did how about that just on the pitching staff as a whole? And understandably so.
Yeah, just changing the tune. They went from, I think on StatCast, I think I was checking near the end of the year, they went from being 28th in ground ball rate in 2020 to being 3rd in ground ball rate in 2021. They made this odd kind of philosophical shift. Yeah, he was 11th in ERA last year in the National League.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty good there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were only 22 qualifiers, but also all the qualifiers for the most part are above average. So it's not like he was at the midway point of ERA. 3.17 is very good. And a 3.62 FIP, so not too far off there. He's another guy that's kind of a pitch to contact guy, and he's someone that also changes ground ball rate, I think, a little bit. I think it was more prominent in the beginning of the year, but it went up 4.6 percentage points from 2020 to 2021. But his line drive rate from 2020 to 2021 went down significantly. It went down 13.6 points.
Those numbers are different on Savant and Reference, because I'm on Baseball Reference right now. I have his line drive rate from 2020 to 2021 going 31.7 to 26.5, and then his ground ball rate going 39 to 50.
Oh wow, yeah.
They must have different I always thought they kind of just like shared from each other, but I guess not.
Oh yeah, I think Baseball Reference uses the same data as Fangraphs. I forget what it.
Because they are different.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
It's
in
like
the glossary or not,
mhm.
but I actually when I went on the Baseball Reference Stat Head webinar.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, but I think in the chat room they talked about the batted ball data on Baseball Reference, and they said it wasn't the same as Savant.
Figured.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I mean, depending on what website you want to look at, his ground ball rate increased a little bit, or it increased pretty significantly. But yeah, DeSclafani, like $12 million a year, that's a good deal for the Giants. For
Yeah, it
someone
is.
who, I mean, I should look at what his age is at. Like he's, definitely not old. He's gonna be signed for his age 32 through 34 seasons. Yeah, I gotta love this deal for the Giants.
Yeah, you have to. It's obviously a lot of the reason why they were so successful in 2021 was just the resurgence of so many people, and DeSclafani and Wood were two of them on the pitching staff, particularly. You're obviously losing Buster Posey this year, so you need to retain as much of last year's core as you possibly can, and that starts with bringing back the starting rotation because they were one of the best in baseball, and re-signing those two are so vital to the team's success, especially with you have a full year of Logan Webb coming up. You might not have Kevin Gausman coming back. Like you need to retain as much of last year's team as you can, while still, doing everything to make to get some new guys as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like I think the biggest change from 2020 to 2021 for the Giants was their starting pitching. Like
Mhm.
in 2020, Gausman had a good year, but like I don't remember anyone else specifically standing out. And then, DeSclafani and Wood were like some minor acquisitions at the time coming into last year, and they ended up playing pretty vital roles. And that was the reason they were in first place last year. DeSclafani 3.17 ERA. Alex Wood had a 3.83 ERA last year. And yeah, like that's now they're guaranteed to have, three of the starters they had last year, which puts them in a pretty good spot.
That's significant.
You want the big horse coming back as well, and I think they're definitely working on that. And I think he'll still probably go back to San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are a lot of more teams in. He's definitely the guy they're going to have to spend the most on in that case. But even if he doesn't come back, like I don't think it's the end of the world. Like you look at that rotation, you still have DeSclafani and Wood. You have Webb, who can probably take up the role as ace going forward. Is Johnny Cueto still on the team? He's not. He's a free agent. Yeah, you're gonna have to sign a couple guys, but I think that obviously the priority should be re-signing Gausman. Yeah.
I'm just realizing now, starting pitching market for the players, not great. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I think Matz deserves more than $11 million a year. I think DeSclafani deserves more than $12 million a year. I think Wood deserves more than whatever $5.5 million a year that he's getting.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially compared to
I mean, like the only one I've seen where it's like, I mean, even Eduardo Rodriguez, like you could have argued he deserved more than 15 million a year.
Yeah, like he's been one of the like better signing, like in terms of getting money.
In terms of value, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the position player market doesn't seem to have this issue. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, like especially compared to 2 years ago. I remember Rick Porcel got a $10 million deal 2 years ago.
And he had a really good FIP. Like he had such. Let me look at his 2020 because I looked at it like in that offseason, I was like, wait a second. In 2020, Rick Porcello in 59 innings pitched had 11.3 hits per nine against. He had a FIP of 3.33 and an ERA of 5.64. 8.2 strikeouts per nine, 2.3 walks per nine, 0.8 home runs per nine.
Yeah, like
Like he actually pitched very well, but had 11.3 hits per nine. Yeah.
yeah, that's weird. Yeah, it's weird seeing
What's
like
his BABIP against?
all of the deals I've seen outside of maybe Erod, but although like there's the argument with Erod is very odd as we know.
Mhm.
But like looking at all the deals, it's like, oh, this pitcher could have gotten more money.
Yeah.
So although I mean Aaron Loop got a good amount for
Yeah, he
as
did.
a reliever.
Just a side note, Porcello had a 373 BABIP against
Wow.
2020.
I was about to say like he probably had a very high BABIP against.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Loop got more money than Alex Wood. I mean,
To be fair, Aaron Loop also had a very, very underrated season. I think he was like 100th percentile in barrel percentage against.
yeah, his ERA was in the ones or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 0.95 actually.
Um,
Okay, he was 99th percentile in barrel rate, 94th
whoa,
percentile in X slugging.
he really kept it up after the how about that. I thought he would have
Yeah, he
dropped
did.
off a little bit, but
Nah, I mean he had an expected ERA of 3.15 according to Savant.
yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with oh yeah, and the WOBA X WOBA difference is
Mm-hmm.
there too, but it's like
Staggering.
no one expects you to have a 0.95 expected ERA.
Yeah,
but
that doesn't exist unless you're like Jacob DeGrom, and even still, it still doesn't
yeah,
even really exist.
yeah,
What was
exactly.
the Jacob DeGrom definitely had a higher expected ERA. Like it was still a very I think he was still very I think he was like 100th percentile or something like that still.
I would guess like 148 or something like that. Expected.
154. You were darn close.
Okay.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
also had a 108 ERA. Like even when you have a really good ERA, your expected ERA is probably still going to be higher,
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah, generally speaking, because a lot of that also has to do with how good you are, or like allowing base runners and leaving them on. If you have a high left on base percentage against, your expected ERA is probably going to be higher because they just expect you to have the amount based on the amount of base runners you give up. They expect you to have a higher ERA. But yeah, the starting pitching market is odd. I hope it doesn't continue like this after the CBA because, like still the best pitchers on the market haven't been paid yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're right to wait until after this new CBA comes along. Because but yeah, the position player market seems to not have this problem.
I was just say if I'm a starting pitcher that's a free agent, I am holding out until after the lockout, whenever that may be.
Yeah, same. Maybe it's a thing of like maybe they took less because they didn't know when the next contract was going to come, like because of this CBA situation. But still, like
I mean, this could go until like February.
yeah,
Like this, like seriously, we might mean like we're talking about a lot today. We might not have baseball news until like literally February, and we're about to enter December.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
who knows if there's a winter meetings? Who knows like what happens? Like we might just get Hall of Fame updates each show.
Yeah. No free agency and also no Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Once
Yeah,
again.
but like as you mentioned, yeah,
Except for Jake Allen.
Position players haven't had the same issue. Like Starling Marte, he got what he deserved. Like Mark Canha also, and what other position players there's been a lot more pitchers to sign this offseason.
That's true. That is true. I mean, the Mets kind of have taken all the position players so far.
Yeah, very true.
Adam Frazier.
There wasn't a shortstop to sign yet, no.
Nope.
Yeah, no. Okay. Yeah, we're all wondering what Andrelton Simmons is going to get.
Yeah, Freddie Galvis, the big guy out there.
He'll be the first. They'll be the first 2 pins to drop.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's the free agency talk, and we
Got a
had
trade.
some breaking news
Mhm.
before the show, and as MLB tweets out, the Rays Wander Franco contract is officially official. But the Mariners traded for Adam Frazier, who
Yeah.
hopefully they will tell him, well, he'll get him away from Eric Hosmer because that is a dangerous
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah.
And can you give us the details on who these
Yes.
prospects are?
Yeah. Let me real quick go to MLB.com. It was what? It was Ray Kerr was one of them. Cool name.
Raker.
Yeah. Hopefully he's a position player, like a heavy hitting first baseman, you know.
I see this. Ken Rosenthal put him as LH, which is like left-handed pitcher.
Play pitcher then. Yeah.
LH, did he mean LHP?
He might have. Prospect
Or
rank.
left hitter? I don't know.
Top 30 from team, and these are Mariners prospects that are now going to the Padres. I love how these teams just love to trade with each other, the Mariners and Padres.
Oh my God, they had the big extravaganza in 2020.
Yeah, man. Jerry DePoto and AJ Preller are like best friends.
It's like, yeah,
They probably spent Thanksgiving together. Like they were just at the table being like, what do we got here?
AJ Preller's just sitting across the table, being like, "I'm stuffed. You know what else is stuffed? My infield. We're gonna have to get rid of one of these guys."
Hey, you guys had some tough luck at second base this year, huh? So Ray Kerr was not in the top 30 for the Mariners, and I don't think the other guy was either.
Well, they said Ray Kerr is 27, which is
Did
like
they?
he.
Probably on a different website because I'm looking at MLB.com. He might have been there in like Baseball America.
Potential.
But anyway,
no.
look
I'm
there.
saying
Wait a
not. I'm
minute,
saying
what?
27 years old, not
This dude.
27 in the system.
Oh, I'm looking at the system. In 2021 in the minors, 39 2/3 innings pitched, 60 strikeouts.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was his walk rate?
I mean, not bad. I don't think.
Oh
It's
yeah.
16. Oh, okay, not great. 16 walks and 39 2/3 innings pitched. Not horrible though.
Oh,
Whip of 106.
39.
Yeah.
Yeah, 39
What
innings pitched.
What did I say?
No, I think you said 39, and I only
What
heard
did
the
you-
9, and I thought it was 29. But
Yeah.
Jeff
39
Passan's
innings pitched. Yeah,
Jeff
60
Passan's
strikeouts.
tweet
Very
said
good.
he hits 100 from the left side, which is
Wow.
100 miles per hour.
I mean, yeah, that's a good deal. He's he was in what level was he at last year? He played in it's double A and triple A, so this is someone who can make an immediate impact.
Yeah, and relievers also, they're never like ranked high in the
That's true.
prospect system.
And who's the other person that was included?
Like for example, Emmanuel Clase was ranked number 30 in the Ranger system when they traded him to Cleveland.
Right. Who is the other person? Corey Rozier, who is he's 22 years old, and oh my lord, he also in his minor league. Okay, so he made his minor league debut this year, and he slashed 380, 451, 570, 1022 in 121 at bats. And he also had a high walk or a decent walk rate, it seems. So, I mean, Mariners weren't messing around with this trade. They gave up some guys who have performed well in the minors.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I mean, Kerr is probably going to be in that bullpen next year
for San Diego.
Yeah. And I think they needed some bullpen help. Yeah, like 60 strikeouts in 39 innings, and 16 walks is like, that's not terrible for a reliever.
No,
in 39 and a third innings or whatever. Yeah, and yeah, I wouldn't be super alarmed as a Padres fan, like seeing that Kerr isn't in the top 30 because, as I
'Cause
mentioned,
he's-
Clase was number 30 in the Ranger
Mhm.
system before he got traded over to
And
Cleveland.
Mhm. And Rozier only debuted this year, so it makes sense that he's not there yet.
Yeah,
Very small sample size to put a guy in the top 30.
yeah, and Adam Frazier, second baseman. You know, his story last year. He was the starting second baseman for the National League All-Star team last year. He kind of struggled a little bit out of the gate for the Padres, but I think he definitely picked it back up in September/October. In the final month of the season, he hit 318 with an 802 OPS. So I wouldn't be too concerned with his struggles in San Diego because I think he turned it around a little bit towards the end. So it could be good for the Mariners. Who was playing second base for them last year?
Who I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but regardless, the Mariners, their second baseman slash 206, 284, 345 on the year for a 78 weighted runs created plus. Adam Frazier's batting average last year was 21 points higher than Mariners second baseman's on base percentage. So, I can promise you that this is an upgrade. This makes the team better. Abraham Toro, Dylan Moore, Shed Long were their second baseman. And
Yeah,
who knows what they do with Toro next year? Maybe they plop him at third because Seager's not going to be there next year.
that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it for both sides because I think each team kind of got what they wanted. San Diego didn't really have much of a place for Frazier. I was kind of confused initially when that trade happened last year.
Yeah.
And like yeah, they had a pretty full infield anyway with Machado, Tatis, Cronenworth, Hosmer. They obviously have a big financial commitment to Hosmer, so they can't trade him. So they got rid of Frazier, and they've got probably what's going to be a decent bullpen arm out of it. You know, not that he's been in the majors yet, I don't think, but
There's a reason to be excited about it.
yeah, reason to be excited about the guy. As Passan mentioned, he's able to hit 100 miles per hour as a left-handed pitcher.
That's
And
not something you see very often.
and you know, 60 strikeouts and 39 and what, 2/3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
So
60 strikeouts.
yeah, and multiply that by 9, like 13.8 something strikeouts per
good.
9.
Yeah.
Very good.
How many lefties hit 100 miles an hour on the gun this year in the majors?
That's a good question.
Checking
The
it
first guy I
now.
think of for some reason is Jose
Only
Alvarado.
10. Yeah, only 10. Jose Alvarado, Aroldis Chapman, Gregory Soto, Anthony Ghost, Shane McClanahan, Genesis Cabrera, Carlos Rodon, Tyler Motzik, Tanner Scott, Jake Brentz.
Wait, this walks per 9 can't be right.
No,
Divided
definitely
by
can't. 16 and 39 and 2/3 innings. It's probably like
3.7, which is not
I was gonna
bad.
say mid to high threes.
3.7 is only like slightly above average.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's something that you can easily improve on.
Yeah, and 60 strikeouts and 16 walks is a strikeout to walk ratio of almost 4, which is very good.
Right.
Yeah, so that's Ray Kerr, who
Yeah.
ironically enough is not a position player.
Not a position player. Not gonna be raking.
Nope. That's tough. But he is 27 years old, and he's probably going to be coming out of the Padres bullpen. And then the obvious headliner is Adam Frazier. It's going to be hard for him to not improve the second base position of Seattle. So that's good for Seattle. Anything more on the deal?
No, I mean, this was something that we kind of predicted back at the trade deadline last year. it's an upgrade for the Mariners. You know, I know it's easy to think that Adam Frazier might have regressed from where he was with the Pirates in the first half last year, making him a starting all-star. But the reality is this makes the Mariners a better team.
It does, very much so. It does. All right. Well, I think that's
Kind of everything.
I think that's all the news. All the
Yeah,
news
on
in
for
Major
the
League
for the
Baseball.
first half of the offseason,
Yeah.
unless something happens in the next few days before December 1st, which probably will. I bet.
Yeah.
I think Gosman signs before the lockout. Whoa.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. We got like 3 or 4 more days till
We
this
do.
lockout occurs.
Yep.
Fun stuff. But yeah, so we hope you enjoyed this one. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to our YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta and follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. And we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next Thursday, where we are talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball, or lack thereof. All the happenings in Major League Baseball, or lack thereof. Once again, we will see you then.
This conversation is over.